On September 12th from 5 to 7 p.m., the Lynn Museum will hold an opening for their newest exhibit, a diorama of the railroad that ran through Lynn in the 1890s. We spoke with Elena Hirschman-Seidel, interim director of the Lynn Museum Lynn Arts, about the Lynn Museum and the upcoming exhibit.
We're here at the Lynn Museum and Historical Society at 590 Washington Street. We are open to the public Tuesdays through Fridays, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we are open for our members for free, and for visitors it's $5. Students under 12 are always free. On the first floor we have some signage from Old Lynn, as well as postcards that people used to send back and forth. Then on the second floor, where most of our exhibits are, if you come up right now, we are still showing the Lynn Beach painters. We have over 15,000 objects in our collection, so we try and rotate things through so you can see a little bit of what we have to offer. Shoemaking is a very important part of Lynn's history, and so we really celebrate that, but we want people to understand that Lynn isn't just about the shoemaking. The thing we really wanted to highlight right now is our new exhibit that's opening, the Narrow Gauge Railroad Diorama. It was created by Todd Gigg, who's an artist who has a studio in the Lydia Pinkham building. We're very excited to share this with the public. It basically takes mid-1890s, late 1890s Lynn from where you took the train into Boston, and it's a very small piece of that train ride, and you get to see what Todd envisioned that time period looking like. We will have lots of different activities throughout the year as we celebrate this diorama and Todd's creation. And so please go on our website, www.lynnmuseum.org, to see when other programs and workshops will be offered.
We were also able to speak with artist Todd Gigg at his studio in the Lydia Pinkham building.
My son was born in 2001, and at that time I was thinking, I've got to build him a train set when he gets older. So I got out my American Flyer trains from my brother's attic, and I started to imagine what I would do with that. And I was going to build a railroad called the Fort Point Revere Beach in Lynn. When I found out that there was actually a railroad called the Boston Revere Beach in Lynn, that kind of sealed it for me. I had to build that model. Even though at the time of its peak ridership, it had the most densely used railroad in the United States, and that it opened up the North Shore to development, 80% of the people who I polled had never heard of it before. The fact also that it has never been modeled by anyone was extraordinary to me, so I felt there's a niche that needs filling. I've been working on this for about 12 years, and the reason it's taken that long is because I've had to go do historical research to get as much information as I could. So it is based on historical matter, however there are large gaps, as you can imagine, in that record, and I have to fill that with my imagination, and that's what's fun, is coming up with different structures that would be suitable for that era. So what I've been doing is building 4x4 foot modules so that I can keep it mobile and I can move it as I need to. The entire railroad, if I didn't compress it, would be 400 feet long. So I've had to dramatically compress it to get it down to even 40 feet. Right now I've completed 3 modules. They're installed in the museum. I have another 7 to build. Satisfying as it is to build a model railroad for oneself, when you feel that there's an importance to having it seen by others, it gets rather shallow keeping it in your studio. I wanted it in a museum, and so it was a combination of wanting to share Lynn's history and also bring people to the museum and to bring pleasure to their lives. People, when they see the diorama, their first comment often is, I would never have the patience to work on something like this. But your gratification is immediate. It's not so much the completion, it's watching this landscape come to life. And so the pleasure is constant. The only thing I'd like to conclude with is my gratitude to the museum. There are many things that I have learned in making the diorama that the historical societies in Lynn and in Revere and in Winthrop were unaware of. That's one of the things that's so valuable educationally about the diorama, is when people come to see it, they're being educated in ways that perhaps they didn't expect. People forget what they once had unless they're reminded of it. And the diorama is a wonderful way to remind people what once was in Lynn.